Today on Tech Solutions, we're going through the complete process of installing Docker Desktop on Debian 13 using Docker's recommended method. The whole idea is simple. Prepare the system, set up Docker's apt repository, download the Docker Desktop deb package, verify it, install it using apt, and finally launch and test it. I'll walk you through each step clearly, explaining what's happening behind the scenes so that everything makes sense even if you're installing Docker Desktop for the first time on Debian. Before anything else, make sure your Debian 13 system is updated and ready. A fresh update ensures the package sources are current and prevents version conflicts. Debian also recommends removing any older or conflicting Docker packages before installing Docker Desktop, because old versions might interfere with the new components. Once the system is prepped, the first major task is setting up Docker's apt repository. Docker hosts its own packages instead of relying on Debian's built-in ones, so we need to tell Debian where to fetch Docker Desktop and its dependencies from. To do that, we start by adding Docker's official GPG key. Think of this key as a signature that Debian trusts. It confirms that the packages you're about to download are legitimate and haven't been altered during download. Right after adding the key, we add Docker's repository for Debian 13, which is currently based on the stable release line. Once the repository is in place, Debian's package manager becomes aware of Docker software and can install it properly. After preparing the repository, the next step is downloading the Docker Desktop deb package. This package contains everything: the desktop UI, Docker Engine, Docker CLI, Containerd, virtualization helpers, and integration pieces. It's always a good idea to download the deb directly from Docker's official website to guarantee authenticity. You can also verify its checksum using the release notes. Verifying the checksum simply confirms that the file you downloaded matches the official release and wasn't corrupted or modified during download. It's a small step, but it keeps your system safe. Once the deb file is downloaded, we install it using Debian's apt package manager. Using apt instead of manually installing the deb gives apt the chance to automatically install or fix any missing dependencies. When you begin the installation, apt starts unpacking the Docker Desktop package, setting up all the internal components, registering system services, configuring Docker Engine, and linking everything properly with systemd. This part usually takes a moment, so while the installation is being carried out, Debian is preparing the backend services, placing files into their correct locations, and enabling the Docker Desktop system service so it can run automatically. At the end of the installation, you may notice an odd message from apt. It usually says something about the deb being downloaded unsandboxed as root or something similar. You can ignore it completely. It appears only because the package came from your local disk rather than from an online apt repository. Docker's official documentation confirms this message is harmless and does not affect the installation. Once installation is complete, Docker Desktop should now be available in your Applications menu. You can launch it like any normal app. The first time Docker Desktop starts, it initializes its internal components, including the Docker Engine and container runtime, and sets up its environment. After it loads, you can test the setup by running a simple container like the Hello World example. If Docker Desktop prints the confirmation message, that means everything is functioning properly and your system is ready for development, learning, testing, and running containerized workloads. That's the full process. Prepare Debian, add Docker's repository, download the deb, verify it, install it using apt, and launch Docker Desktop. With this setup complete, you now have a fully working Docker Desktop environment on Debian 13.